He's another person that is adrift on the great landscape of the West. That's always been part of the fun of the game, is that lone figure on this huge landscape. That's and what's it like to be out there? It's another world out there. Maybe he was just somebody who drifted along, happened along, and maybe he was asked for. It's that fantasy of a guy solving the problem himself. He isn't picking up and dialing 911 or any other aid. He's just, through his own ingenuity, will work out the situation. If he doesn't exist.
You don't like our company? What's the matter with you? I'm speaking to you.
Everybody would like to be the fellow that says, I'll do it. I'm the one that can do it. Everybody else tries, but turn to me. I can solve it for you. They want to have the magic touch. They want to be the legend.
You liked good Westerns, and you may not have known why you liked them, but they were wonderful to watch, and it's very romantic. If movies could be a religion, I think you'd get more out of Western than any other genre.
The Western has come to symbolize American cinema. Its images instantly recognizable the world over. Many of America's foremost directors, writers, and actors have been drawn to its elemental moral themes and epic scale. Its frontier characters, fools, charlatans, outlaws, and heroes, confronting the grand themes of life and death on a simple stage, the stark background of America's West.
The Western, because of the story form, because of the traditional and conventional aspects of a Western story. Isolation, one man up against it, got to resolve it by violence. Nobody can help him. They're good versus evil.
Prove it.
They're morality tales.
I thought Westerns would be easier to write because you're writing about a time that the reader hasn't experienced. Places that the reader hasn't been. You make up a town, a one-street town. Board front buildings, down both sides, perhaps a board sidewalk. And that was easy to describe. There's something about the attire. The 6 guns worn outside, the hat, the leather. That's what Westerns are, the look and the feel.
Take him to Missouri, Matt.
You've got 2 stars on Western films. You've got your leading men, and you have your location. It's so refreshing to get outside and smell fresh air and see the colors of the flowers and the trees and the mountains and the change when the sun sets. And a great deal had to do with the cinematography. You felt that you were there. You weren't cooped up. You weren't in apartments. You weren't in homes. You were outside. You really see the vastness of the West. That lonesomeness. They want the gulp in your throat. They want your heart to beat a little when you say, my gosh, that guy's in a lot of...
All this stuff is the idea that is a very romantic view of nature. And there's always that kind of elegiac quality in Western. the idea that the land endures, all these antics of humans that have come and go. And that's why the main characters in some great westerns are often the landscapes. I mean, the Monument Valley's been the hero of more than one movie.
For us, for Americans, it's like the Great Pyramids of Egypt or something, in the sense that there are these monumental, natural sculptural forms that are much bigger than anything we can create ourselves. And that experience is kind of a vertical experience. You look up to the sky, you feel the big space and the openness of it, and that's sort of good for the soul.
The story is always the moving on story. Yeah, I mean, what do you need to know about the Western? It's about moving on. The trouble is that it was not, even though the world is round, it's not a permanently solvable dramatic theme, and that if you move on in the climate that we now live in the Western, you hit Los Angeles, where Westerns are made.
The cowboy hero was invented by writers, many of whom had never been west of the Mississippi. Anyone who'd lived in the real West knew it wasn't very romantic. But thousands of dime novels and comic books fed an insatiable public with thrilling tales of the frontier. The myth easily made its way into film. By the early 1930s, the Western had found a home in grade B, low-budget movies. The B-movie hero was one-dimensional, a simple moral guy who lived violently by an uncomplicated code of right and wrong. Hollywood made the movies action-heavy, with elaborate stunts and chases, but paid little attention to story or character. A favorite actor in the serial Western was John Wayne, who earned his spurs acting in dozens of low-budget formula pictures.
I was afraid you wouldn't get here.
So was I. And if I'm not mistaken, the sheriff isn't very far behind.
We have to work fast. The gang didn't get what they were after, and they'll be back.
Yes, and that isn't all you have to worry about. I owe you a lot. But don't you realize that in helping me get away, you made yourself a party to a crime?
I never thought of that.
1939 by veteran director John Ford. His attention to story and performance created some of the most compelling characters in